I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today we have a special guest here. He's our 2021 NPC USA Men's Overall Champ. Yes, he is Mr. USA, and he is an IFBB Pro, and he's here today. Jordan Hutchinson, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave. It's awesome being on, man. I appreciate it very much.
You know, you're a great story, and I'll tell you why, because you know, you're a guy who no one saw coming. You know, we kind of know who the favorites are usually going into these shows, and you just were off the radar. And the reason I found out why you at least were off my radar was because you haven't competed since 18.
Yeah.
And give us that whole story. You know, where'd you come from, and you know why did you take so long, I guess, to get on stage and shoot for that pro card?
Yeah, I mean, so I fell in love with bodybuilding about 19 years old. I'm 25 now, so I had a year and a half, 2 years of training before my first show. It was sad excuse of the showing, but I just was trying to teach myself how to do this thing, just from people that have coaxed me into doing it in the gym.
What were some of the mistakes you made? Tell us some of the funny, kooky
stuff.
Oh
gosh! So my first prep, 2015, I was carb cycling.
Right.
But it was 4 days low carb, but then a high day. But my high day was like eat horrible, terrible food every fifth day. So it was like I was so extremely regimented. Then the fifth day, go nuts.
Right. Like
so
what was going nuts?
Like
Give me an example of like a going nuts.
Yeah, it was not good. But I mean, it was an experience, a learning curve. And then after that first show, I just fell in love with it. Got a coach and kind of coach hopped a little bit and competed in my first NPC show in 2017. Mm-hmm. And then competed again in 2018 because I knew I needed more time off. I've just always seen myself as needing more improvement. So I sell myself short sometimes, but I think it's a good thing because I take the necessary time off. Right. So I think it's why people saw me and didn't know who I was. I kind of flew under the radar because 2018, I was like, all right, we're taking 16 months off to grow, to fill out my frame. Mm-hmm. I was 196 on stage. I won the light heavyweight class there, but I missed the overall.
What show was that?
As the NPC Muscle Heat in North Carolina. Gotcha. So I grew up in Western North Carolina, in the mountains, middle of nowhere, again, where no one even has heard of bodybuilding. It's not a thing out here. So there's really no networking anyways. There's like a few cool gyms. Biltmore Fitness is my gym, their home local gym, but there's really nothing around here as far as bodybuilding goes.
Now, because of that, I have to assume probably the equipment isn't probably the best equipment that you could probably find.
Well, so Biltmore Fitness, why I go there is they have all these cool old school pieces. They've got like a hammer strength, nice. Pullover. They've got all the old school hammer strength presses, not the newer ones. I like the older ones better.
Yeah,
but no, there's really no gyms with cool pieces. There's like a couple corporate golds and stuff like that. So.
How many people were in your high school graduating class?
So that's another funny story. I was homeschooled. So I'm one of five. My dad worked. He worked his butt off. He taught me discipline and how to work. Yeah. And my mom homeschooled us. Once I got to middle school and high school, I started doing these privatized classes that were kind of like private school, but 30 kids would go once a week, and then you'd handle your own workload the rest of the week.
Wow.
So since I was 14, 15, I've worked at least 30 hours a week on a regular job.
Really? Like what? So, what kind of jobs?
So 15, I worked at a garden center loading and unloading trucks. And that was one thing that helped me, I guess, build some muscle before I hated the gym back then. I didn't want to do a single dumbbell curl. I hated it.
Well, you were working all day. That's why. Who the hell wants to lift anymore after that?
I was lifting stuff all day, but I hated it.
Now, let me ask you this question. Did you have a choice to work, or was like your mother's like, this is the way it's going to be? You're going to homeschool. We're going to homeschool you, and you're going to school, and then you're going to work,
I wanted to be able to do stuff, and my parents did absolutely everything they could for me. They give me the last bit of everything they have.
I got you. So there
But
wasn't enough money around, so you
yeah,
wanted your
having
own money.
5 kids, and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I've always just made whatever I wanted to do happen. And so I was like 30 hours a week from age 15 just to make sure I could do the things that I wanted to do. And then, but once I moved out at 18 or 19, it was just trying to make ends meet and pay cash through school.
Right.
And I was falling asleep in my classes because I was trying to get all my meals in, get all my food prep, do school, go to work 35, 40 hours a
Oh my
week.
God, that's crazy.
And that was when I was like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I want to bodybuild. And some people had some negative things to say about that.
I'm sure.
So,
In
yeah.
your family, you're talking about people?
No, mostly family. They at first had a hard time understanding what I did. And still sometimes it's hard when, when there's family events and stuff and I can't eat or I'm bringing my
Sure.
Tupperware or I have to skip out because of prep or whatever. But they are so supportive now. But at first it was like, what is this weird thing you're doing,
Right.
But they've always supported me in everything. It was just hard for them to understand. But yeah, I just couldn't handle bodybuilding and school. But it was more like ex-girlfriends or friends or whoever that were
Gotcha.
like, man, you need to go to school. Why would you do that? Bodybuilding, you're not going to make any money. The chances of you making it big in this, it's a genetic sport, all that kind of stuff.
Now, what
So,
made you believe in yourself? I mean, aside from the fact that you liked it, I'm the kind of same guy. I'm the kind of person that did everything I liked. I
right.
wasn't going to regret it. But what made you believe in yourself that you actually had the ability to go far in the sport?
Well, everybody who knows this or knows me knows I've always said genetics is going to be the only thing to limit me because I will eat dirt if I have to. I'm extremely disciplined. I'm OCD, so my problem is, and my wife can tell you,
Yeah.
once I'm focused on something, I can't stop thinking about it. I don't stop talking about it. I just live it. And so, though at first I felt like maybe it wasn't something I was going to be really good at, I still gave 110%. I skipped out on fun things that 20-year-olds do. I didn't drink a sip of alcohol around that time, obviously underage, but at 21, I wasn't drinking.
Right.
I was prepping my meals. I was skipping out on stuff with friends. I was like, oh man, can't come hang out. I'm training, so then that again is hard in an area where there's no bodybuilders. It's like
Right.
a very lonely road.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah, but
So,
you know what? You gotta be march to your own beat. I always tell people, and I was just saying it today on After Hours. We were recording, and we were talking about the Olympics and Simone Biles, and I'm like, you know what? People don't understand. If you want to be the best at what you do, you
right.
have to be willing to, like you said, eat dirt, die
Yep.
for what you're doing. And
Yep.
it doesn't mean it's healthy. It doesn't mean it's good for you.
Right.
But that's not what being the best is about. It's dangerous to be the best. It's dangerous to go out there and do 14 somersaults in the air and possibly land on your head and break your neck. It's
Right.
dangerous
There's always
to go,
risks.
yeah, to run a football and have 380-pound guys tackling you. I mean,
Right.
life is dangerous if you want to be the best at what you do. And
Yeah.
you have to be willing to go where other people are not willing to go. And it seems like
Yeah.
that was always your calling card.
Yeah, an elite mentality. I mean, my motivation from day one was Dorian Yates, like watching him trudge through the snow to the gym. And he always talked about genetics. All these other guys had better genetics than him.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me because I know I'm not one of these guys that just grows super easily. And I think maybe now I'm tapping more into what genetic potential I do have. But I will say I've had to be one of the more disciplined people of all the bodybuilders I'm friends with and network with to be able to make it in the shape I do or put on the muscle I need to. I have to be very, very regimented year round. I mean, I conduct myself like a pro year round, though I haven't been a pro, and it's still blowing my mind that I am a pro now. But I've always put 110%. So.
After winning your weight class at the USA, which I thought you did pretty handily handle that, you had to go up in the overall. Now, in the overall, we all know, you weren't the super heavyweight. There was a guy bigger than you, obviously, and then there's always guys more shapely.
He was great.
Did you think you had it? I mean, give me your mindset going into that overall. What were you thinking?
Well, gosh, getting off stage. So my coach is Chris Tuttle, and he is
good guy.
so in tune with me. I mean, he was constantly there for me the entire prep and peak week. And so of course I text him as soon as I get off
Right.
stage after I was handed the award. And in my head, I'm freaking out. Emotions are high. I'm about to lose it. And I texted him and I was like, we did it. We did it, man. We did it. He's like, job ain't over yet. That's all the text said. And I knew exactly what that meant because he's always said, just go into it with a numb mentality. You've got to be focused on stage. You can't let your emotions get too high. Can't get too excited. You got to hold your poses. And so once I read that, I was like, okay, I've got to beat this massive super heavy somehow based on shape and balance and conditioning, because that's the only things I bring against him. He's massive.
Right. Big guy.
And then I've got to beat this light heavy, as well, because his shape was incredible too. So I just went back at it, and it's still weird looking down at Steve Weinberger, like knowing, he's a head judge at the Olympia. I'm like, is this really real? Just in prejudging. And then so the whole time I'm just thinking, I got to impress Steve. He's got to know that I can be a pro one day, a successful pro.
Right. That's exciting. It's when they called your name out, did you, because people always ask me the question when you're waiting and to hear that final call, and obviously I didn't win my class at the USA or Nationals. I was second a couple times.
Okay.
And it's the worst. It's the worst. Like it feels like it's 20 minutes you're waiting there, but it's really only like 30 seconds.
Oh gosh, it feels like forever.
Yeah. Before they called your name out as the overall winner, what was going through your mind? Seriously, tell us.
Well,
exactly.
I knew it was close, and supposedly it was by 1 point. And Eric Wood, he's an awesome competitor. The guy that took second in my class. He's a class act. I have tons of respect for him and his physique. And I knew he was good. And, they even rejudged my class. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, no, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, they brought Sid Ray up. And so, of course, I'm feeling really good about how prejudging went. And then one of the officials backstage is like, oh, your class is getting rejudged. I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I've got to focus. I don't just get to go do my posing routine, which I hate doing posing routines. He's like, you got to get rejudged. And they worked us Friday morning at prejudging already.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've got to absolutely bring it because I know it's like this close. But when they called my name, man, it was just a moment of disbelief. I still just can't even believe it. But you're right, time absolutely slowed down.
Yeah, because you don't know. I mean, it could have gone either way. You knew it was close. They rejudged the class. It's a horrible feeling, and I feel bad for the guy who comes in second place. Because
I think there's like from the back, they kept having us turn around to the back. I think that's the only place like glutes and hams that I really shine there. But we both had such similar shape. I remember watching them look back and forth at us like, we have a very similar physique, so it's hard to judge such similar physiques,
It's funny because Nationals, they give top 2 pro cards. USA is only the top guy in the class, so I'm sure he's gonna see his pro card this year. So
he will. I talked to him after. He'll be going pro.
Let me ask you this question. A lot of people probably are thinking, some guys jump right into pro shows right after winning a big show like this. We've seen it happen with Lunsford when he won the USA. Are you planning to take time off, or do you think we might see you on stage in 2021?
Well, see, so I'm absolutely taking the time off. And the thing is, for me to have done 3 total NPC shows, 2017, 2018. Right. After 2018, I planned on a 16-month off season. I changed coaches in the meantime, but originally the plan was 16 months. So changing coaches extended a little bit. Then sure enough, I was like, all right, 2020 is my year. I'm focused. I've put on a ton of size. I'm ready to compete in 2020. And then COVID happened, and it threw me off a lot. I was without a job for a few months. I was living with a buddy he was letting me live with them without paying rent because I was just digging out of my savings for everything.
That's horrendous.
It was it was a rough time. I work a commission job, and if you're not hustling, making money, you're not making money. Gotcha. It's not you get paid time off, all that kind of thing. So it was really rough. And Chris Tuttle stuck it out with me through 2020. We started in January. but we wanted to compete like that fall of 2020. So it extended my off season even further. So I ended up taking a off season from September 2018, and then prep started January this year. So I wasn't planning on taking that much time off, but it did me well because I put on so much stage weight, 30 pounds of stage weight.
Yeah. No,
that's my goal though was top 5. I had no expectations going into the show other than my goal was to top 5 at a national show. That's been my goal for 3 years now.
Right. Well, you did that plus a lot more. Let me ask you this question, because you had mentioned to me, I had asked you earlier that if you were married, and you said you had a funny story about that. And tell us the story.
So my wife and I met last year. She's the most incredible woman ever, the most supportive for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
She believed in me since day one. Brittany, now Hutchinson. Mm-hmm. So we got married in March. I proposed to her back in December when I was a fluffy meatball off season mode. So she loved me back then. So in March we got married. We went off to Charleston. It was just me and her. One of my best friends officiated the wedding.
Yeah.
But Chris Tuttle's really pretty strict, and I like that he is. So we're talking, refeed days are just add some rice, add some cream of rice, add some oats. There's no like go out and have dinner, Yeah. There's no go out and have a burger for a refeed after leg training or anything like that. So, and we did a 20-week prep into my regional show, then 6 more weeks into USA's.
Gotcha.
So my wife and I get married in March, and I was like begging for me to be able to do something with her.
Oh yeah.
But he's like, all right, look, man, you're going to have to do a steak and a plain baked potato, split a dessert, and that's it. So we're in Charleston with like our Tupperware on our wedding weekend, So that's what's about to happen now is all the dates I've owed her for the last 8 months.
I was going to say, whenever I hear a guy always say, oh, my wife's an incredible woman, I say, man, they must have been a real bastard during the prep.
I'm not terrible. She'll tell you I'm not terrible, but there were a couple weeks I was super depleted between the regional show and now, and man, she stuck it out like a pro.
Bet you if I got her on here, she'd tell me some stories, man.
Oh,
I don't believe you for a second. Well,
he was a trooper.
Yeah. Congratulations on the huge win, Jordan. And
Thank you.
It's a great story because we're so used to seeing people that have been going over and over and over. You're one of the few people who you knew what your goal was, you knew what you had to achieve, you took the time to do it, you weren't rush it, you actually got the extra time because of the whole COVID scandal,
right?
And you delivered, and I think that it's a great story of success and perseverance, and I really wish you the best in the future. I know you're gonna have a great career as a pro. You're still very young, and what do you see what would you like to bring your stage weight up to for your next show?
Well, yeah. So I know I'm not delusional. I know I'm not a Hunter Labrada coming straight out of getting my pro card, going straight into a pro show. I know I need the time off to grow. I'm very aware of that. So I just need the overall size. So if I could put on 30 pounds of stage weight in a couple of years, 2.5 years, I can imagine I can put on another 15, 20, maybe 15, 20 pounds with my waist staying tight. I think I really could be dangerous because they seem to be rewarding shape with guys like Keon and these other guys, Sean Roden. I want to bring that kind of shape to open with as much size as I can. I need to bring my arms up. So it's kind of like when I'm ready, I'm going to go for it. I would love for a year or two to go by and be able to do a pro debut.
You almost remind me of your physique a little bit. Even your actually the way you look is you're almost like a little Branch Warren clone. He started out very similar to you. Awesome. He didn't have that crazy freakazoid physique when he turned pro and when he won nationals. Right. But man, he certainly grew into that physique. And
I don't remember who it was. Somebody recently said the same thing. I was like, wow, that's.
You
huge.
Look like him a little bit facially, but your physique also when he first turned pro. People forget what he looked like when he first turned pro. Very similar. So hopefully awesome. You follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, gosh, I've got big shoes to fill being Mr. USA. I mean, that was totally. When you're from a small town where nobody bodybuilds and they're all telling you you're great. And then you go here and they actually judge you that way. And, oh, wow, I beat all these guys. Right. It's a great feeling, but I'm going to be honest, I went in with no expectations. but I guess it made me work that much harder, you know?
I remember it. I think it was '96 USA. Ken Brown. I don't know. People don't even probably know who he was. I've interviewed him before, but he came out. He was from a small town in Pennsylvania. Like, matter of fact, the town where I went to college, and no one had heard of him. He kind of crawled out of the woodwork. He won junior nationals. He went to USA. Won USA. Beat a whole field of people that no one ever even expected, and he came out of nowhere. He was just a hardworking guy. Like, you know, that sometimes when you're isolated, it actually works to your advantage because you don't have all the drama around, you know, what you're doing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, you don't have people, I mean, people don't know the sport at all here. It's like I'm part of this strange cult, obviously, that people don't understand. And so I'm just kind of doing my own thing, putting in the work. I'm a homebody with my wife, and we just meal prep and get stuff done. And it seems to work for me. So for now, at least, until maybe we move somewhere where we can actually network, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, luckily with the internet now, you could network anywhere. You could be in Timbuktu and you can network with people. So
right,
as long as you got an internet connection. Well, congratulations on the huge win. You'll keep us updated, and I wish you the best in the future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on, Dave.
All right, and thanks for joining us. And it's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With. I'm Dave Palumbo for Jordan Hutchinson. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Good interview, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.